Hello wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel. Here we go, new first listen, new Veer EP. It is called Warpgate on Disciple Roundtable. It is 5 tracks. His first EP I think in 2.5 years since IDK on Never Say Die Black label. Remember them? Really nice I think for Veer to have taken his time in crafting a new collection. It's not often that you see that. We get quite a lot at the moment of artists just kind of not particularly rushing out EPs but not having that much time between collections, so it can get a little bit overkill if I'm being honest. So hearing from Veer on this front, on this collection front, the EP front again, after a couple of years, 2.5 years is a good thing. I appreciated the wait and now looking forward to this collection. Veer, genuinely one of my favourite artists from the last few years. You know, dubstep is in a place right now where there's a lot of aimless material, and the more people who have kind of come into the scene, I think the more saturated with that kind of music it's become. The formulaic, one-dimensional, aimless approach with the heaviness and the stodginess of the production and whatnot. But Veer, I think, has always come through with unique ideas, exciting concepts and sounds being used, great production, great arrangement, all that kind of thing. Hard to find in this scene at the moment, if I'm being honest. So a new collection of music, always welcome from him. And I actually also had a couple of people, well, I think 3 or 4 people individually, separately saying to me, like messaging me, DMing me, saying you got to check this out, you got to react to it or do something for it. So here I am, Warpgate, Veer. Let's get into it, shall we? Kicking off with the opener, which is called Sin Eater. Okay, nice title to kick off. Let's go. Okay. Okay, there we go. Injecting a bit of spice in there, a bit of paste to it now. Okay. So initially with that heaviness, my thought is that main sound, that it's just a little bit overbearing, just plays a little bit too much of a role within that section overall, and you're just like, okay, detracting from the more exciting bits that kind of play off it with the call and response that we get there. But it does progress well. I think initially a little bit inactive, not that much going on with that sound playing quite a big role, like I said, but that little quickening bit in the progression to that first drop was nice. I mean, that is Veer just kind of striking his stuff, doing his thing. That's what he's best for. Oh, a bit of a quickening up of the tempo, okay. Oh. Very interesting way to kick off there. Yeah, that section we had just now, I mean, that is Veer. I mean, I was saying with the first drop, that's kind of Veer just strutting his stuff a bit as it goes on, as it develops and progresses and evolves, that first drop. But that final drop, him just quickening it up even further, going into a bit of a D&B format, with his aesthetic still, I think, ringing quite true and being available to the ear. Yeah, that is him just allowing his expression, his creativity to kind of flourish and run wild. I think the drop ideas themselves, again, not like some of his best, I wouldn't say, but the sound usage, the arrangement, the excitement of the track overall as a kind of announcement of this EP, beginning the EP and kind of showing that he's back in a way with that kind of exciting level of bass music, if you will, which is what he's all about, I think. Having that sprightly feel about his production and his arrangement is just a good way to kick off the EP, I think. A little bit short-lived. I think that second drop could have been extended a little bit, or even maybe had just a brief outro just to bring it down, because it stops quite abruptly at that point. I would say is not much to prepare you for that moment if you're not kind of watching the time lapse like I am, like we are here. But yeah, got the classic Veer sound usage, his excitement levels. It's got the changes from one drop to another, quite a big one at that. A little bit short, like I said, but has a lot of what Veer is about in that opening track. Yeah. Not bad. Next up, we have Death Totem with Dexamp. That little ding. Mate, the range of snares here. I am a fan. I am a fan. Like, that's such a good way of showing that different snares just give off completely different kinds of energy. You had that quite stodgy one, I think the first one that we got there, then that little ding, which just made it all, you know, a lot more delicate, the drop overall, and then that one there that was just that nice, clean, kind of nifty, like, well, not quite like that, but just those different kinds of snare, like I said, just give that drop overall a different kind of energy in each section. Oof. Oh, I like that. Another track that is very clearly Veer, from the sound usage to the ideas again in themselves just being quite exciting. The second drop a little bit more, well, for me actually quite a bit more than the first one, which felt a little bit straightforward for him, not quite with the invention, the adventure, the ambition that you might associate with his music of the past and whatnot. I mean, the snare changes, they were fantastic again. I really like that, just as a way of giving that drop different kinds of energy, like I said earlier. But the drop itself, the main idea that we got there in that first drop, just felt a little bit ordinary for him, gonna say it. Sound usage was still good though, even if the idea wasn't that exciting, and that translates quite well over into the second drop, where the sounds are just as good, but the idea is just a little bit more exciting. I think it's got a really good flow, kind of triplet bits in there and stuff like that, more sounds firing in out of nowhere, but keeping that controlled feel, that measured approach, even with more going on, and yeah, just scaling up more and more as the drop goes on. So yeah, again, I think not one of his best. I'm not going to say this is one of his best tracks. I mean, maybe the second half I was like, okay, that is Veer pretty much in full flow there. But for the track overall, maybe not quite, but still showing off a lot of his quality and a lot of what he is best for in that cut right there. I think I am looking for maybe a little bit more melodic influence at this point, 2 tracks in. Maybe we will get that with the following 3, but another solid outing and track there from Veer with Dexamp. Yeah, Death Totem. Decent. Then we have the middle cut and the title track, Warp Gate. It's just a little bit of a baile funk kind of vibe about it. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yo. This is the flavour. This is the fucking flavour. Oh, transforming into a proper dubstep drop, love that. Oh mate, it's fucking whipping it all into one track. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Rewind my selector. Yeah, we're going back on that one 100%. No words for that kind of invention, that kind of ambition, the execution, the idea. Oh man, this guy is a fucking pro, let me tell you. Oh. Mate, this is so fun. This is so fun. fucking love it. What a tune. What a fucking tune. One of the most inventive tracks that I've heard this year for sure in bass music. Absolutely. The fusion of genres we get there, all done in such a clean way. The transitioning between different flows and, you know, types of percussive outlay. Really, really cleverly done. And the sounds to go with that, the ideas to go with that. Even the little background touches that tap, 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 just to keep it ticking along, give it that naughty little beat, that flow. You can just really feel the invention coming off this one. And again, you know, the execution is insane. It could easily have just been a track with a really good creative leaning and a creative slant to it, which you do have to still laud it for. But then to go with that, to back it up, it's got the production, it's got the arrangement, the sound usage, everything pitched at the right volume, and with a really upbeat, funky kind of vibe to go with it, you know, dipping in and out quite readily from, I think it was a baile funk kind of thing at in the beginning that we got, then dipping into more of a rhythmy format, bro step sounds as well. Then we had a bit of a Jersey club situation at one point, I think. It's wild. This track is fucking fantastic. A really good one to have in the middle as well, and a great way of representing the EP as well as the title track. So not really that much, if anything, to kind of fault that one for or with, if I'm being honest. Just a solid Veer track. And I was talking with the first two about, yeah, I mean, it's good, there are good moments there, but you know, I wouldn't go back to it as one of my Veer favourites or a track of his I find to be one of the best within his discography. But this one could definitely be up there over time. I mean, I've only heard it once, but I can definitely see that being one of my favourite Veer tunes as I go back to it more and more, which I will definitely be doing. And yeah, like I said, it is one of the most inventive, off the wall tracks in bass music that I've heard this year. I fucking live for creation, invention, thinking outside the box, just being boundary breaking with your idea construction, you know, and that is definitely what Veer has shown there with that track. Penultimately, we have Fall, and already sensing a little bit more melodic influence here in this introduction. Almost future garage kind of vibes there in that introduction. Here we go, leading up to the drop. Oh my days, as if I'm doing a second rewind, as if... Oh, that is fucking filthy. That is flavour. I fucking love it. Oh. Oh, mate, so good. Hey, you're almost making me pause it again, you absolute devil. You absolute little rascal, Veer. You absolute little rascal. That kind of flow, that kind of execution, that kind of sharp, refined feel, it's just always what gets me going. Sounds so good on the ear. The attention to detail there. I mean, fucking hell, that's good. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, didn't go back for it. You know what? I was like, Warpgate definitely isn't going to be topped. Absolutely no way that's even going to be rivaled or matched in any way. But that track, Full, that is also fucking good. Putting the heaviness to the side for a bit, which is also fantastic, by the way, we'll get to that. But even having that little melodic slant, that little melodic bit just to give it that bit more character, which I don't think the first three have quite had. I mean, they do have character in a different way, but having that little melodic slant just to give it that charm, that storytelling appeal, which is woven through these future garage leaning kind of sections we get before each drop, really well in the midsection, the introduction, leading up to those bits of heaviness we get. I mean, that first drop, not to kind of slight the title track Warpgate at all, but I think that first drop might be my favourite. I mean, Warpgate I do like and love, in fact, for the fusion of genres, the amount of creativity, but that feels like the most refined one, the most refined drop that we've had so far, that first one of Full. Nice to have a little switch up for the second drop as well, but that first drop, absolutely insane, completely fucking threw me off and had me pausing and rewinding for a second time, which is quite something. Not often that happens. So yeah, if we're talking about this 3 and 4 here, I mean, Warpgate, I'm all about the creativity there, the blending of genres. I think that is maybe the most impressive on an ambition front, but if we're talking about a soul drop, that first one on Full is just brilliant, and to go with those other sections we get, it's another fantastic cut on this EP, so really picking up at this point as we go towards this final track, which is called No More. Let's get it. Yeah, nice to see him go down a distinctly more melodic, reflective avenue for the final cut. I think that works well. It's an interesting idea for that first drop. Quite a lot going on. Feels quite acidic and thickened with the amount of sounds that you get there. I think an idea I might have to get used to a little bit more. Not a massive fan on that first listen of that. Just felt maybe a tad harsh with the sound usage there, but here we go. Second drop. It's that drill sound at the bottom, just gives it a bit of a grainy feel, where beyond that, besides that, it's quite clean and, you know, shining through the sound usage, but that just gives it that bit of gristle that is a little bit distracting for me personally. Yeah, I think in itself being a more melodic leaning track, just a nice way to finish, giving it that ending an EP or ending a project kind of vibe about it, as if to be like, yeah, we've had heaviness here, to kind of give it that statement factor at the beginning, that wow factor, and then you just tone it down maybe a bit and give it a bit more of a melancholic kind of reflective appeal, just to end and say, oh, we're at the end, sorry to say, but we are at the end here. Effectively done on that front for sure, in particular in the interlude sections, because it is woven into the drops as well, and I think that's maybe where it loses its way just a little bit. I think the melodies we get there with that piercing kind of synth sound doesn't really go anywhere in particular. I don't think there is a definitive kind of melody that is being had there that can really engage the listener and bring them in and be like, okay, this is the story that's being told. But they are good. Those piercing sounds do give it a nice kind of electrifying feel. It's just those drill sounds that are quite present and which give it a bit more of a gravelly feel that detracts from that a little bit. I think it had potential to be quite a cleanly executed cut, and I'm not, you know, completely against tracks that have that bit of gristle about them. Of course I'm not, you know that very well from me. But in combination and in juxtaposition with those higher reaching synths, it just didn't quite work for me. Just gave it a fuzz that, yeah, I found a bit distracting from the main idea and any kind of melodic expertise that we could glean from those drops. So yeah, there was an interesting dynamic going on there, but do end up enjoying and appreciating that one for the melodic leaning of it alone, and with it being where it is in the track list here. But overall, it's a good EP and a good return on that front for Veer. I think it has a bit of a slow start with the opener, and then with the first drop of the second one as well with Dexamp, but really picks up in that second drop for me. That's kind of the main introduction, I think, of the EP, and then 3 and 4, tracks 3 and 4, fucking fantastic, as I've said, really enjoy those. And then the closer, No More, like I just said, really enjoy for the melodic leaning of it, even if the drops I might just have to get used to a little bit in terms of the combination of sounds that we get there. But even the thing in itself of an EP having 2 tracks on it, a 5-track EP with 2 tracks that I'm like, fuck, I just need to hear those again right now, is a seriously impressive thing. You only really ever get one, if that, on any kind of EPs. I mean, most EPs don't even have one cut that have a track where I'm like, yes, have to hear that again. So Veer really pulling through with those 2 cuts, and a load of other moments here that are really good. An impressive return for Veer, and just looking forward to seeing where he goes from here, to be honest. That is a solid EP, Warp Gate. I am a fan. I will be going back to that quite a few times more this year. But yeah guys, there we have it. Veer, Warp Gate first listen. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the video. You've heard my thoughts. Now I want to hear from you. Drop all your thoughts on this EP down below, your favourite track of the 5 and whatnot. My social media accounts and my Patreon are linked in the description box down below. Just started a new series on the Patreon called Single Selects, where each week on a Friday or some point over the course of a weekend, I'm going to be covering and reacting to the biggest name singles from that given week. Did the first one yesterday featuring the new Skrillex, Peekaboo, G-Rex, Flowdown track Badders. We got the Must Die track, the new Marauder track, Riot track, and a couple more to go with that as well, so please do check that out. That is up on the Patreon. It really helps support the channel as well, so I'd massively appreciate you guys checking it out. Beyond that, again, hope you enjoyed, and I shall see all of you in the next one, whatever that might be. Keep it naughty until then. Peace.